एक बहुत ही सेंसिटिव टॉपिक के बारे में which is always hidden or it is not discussed about or it is brushed under the carpet. आज हम बात करेंगे डिवोर्स की. I know divorce is not desirable or something that one dreams of, but divorce is very real. It happens in day to day life. And with this pandemic hitting us, the number of divorces have increased. So today we are going to discuss how to cope with divorce. And on this session of Just Bath, we have our very own life coach and relationship expert, Rachna Daryani, with us. Welcome, Rachna.
Hi, Kanika. Hi, everyone. Good to be back.
Yes, and we also have a guest speaker with us. I would call her a woman of substance, a woman of strength, somebody who has coped with this situation of her life and has battled it out and has come out strong. I am very happy and proud to have you here with us, Sheetal. Sheetal Mansharamani is our guest speaker tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. And I'm glad to have this opportunity to be here today.
Thank you, Sheetal. So I would like our audience to know that this is a panel discussion that we will be having. So to begin with this discussion, I would first ask Sheetal to, Sheetal, tell everybody about your background and how life threw challenges at you and how you battled them out.
Okay, so let me just flash back. I was 23, and the first man that came down the aisle and said, "I love you" to me, I ran away and I got married to him. I came from a very protected family, well-to-do family, and one of the most wealthiest families of Mumbai. And it was from the frying pan into the fire, because he came from a typical North Indian background. And for me at that time, only love existed. So it was just love, 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 and nothing more. I didn't bother to check any credentials, nothing. And cut to, I was in a situation where one person shared the loo with 5 other people. And right from the beginning, he started lying to me about his education, his parents, what his credentials were. And I took him for face value because I was only 23. I was so naive. Then life proceeded ahead, and my parents agreed. We got married in front of our families, only to know that he was swamped in debts. And I helped him get out of those debts. Then I helped him get a job. And then I realized that, it was a never-ending saga. In the interim, I had 2 daughters from him. That was another issue because they wanted sons, they didn't want daughters. So that was like one of the major issues that they had, that, you've given us daughters, who will take our legacy ahead? So I often wondered, what legacy are they talking about? And finally, after being in the marriage for 10 years, one day I decided enough is enough. If I don't walk out now, I'm never going to be able to walk out, and I may not survive personally to look after my children if I didn't walk out. Now, what really happened in the 10 years was that, he started earning, he started, spending, he started getting physical, he started hitting, verbal abuses. And I truly believe that, when respect is not being served on the table, it's time to get up and leave. Whether it's the relationship, whether it's the job, it's the friendship. And especially when you have growing up children, you need to be more careful, because whatever the children see, that's what they imbibe in their life. So finally, after 10 years, I put my foot down and I said, you know what? I want to walk out of this marriage. And like all parents, my father said, no, you can't walk out of this marriage, because you have to now make it work. And I tried to make it work for another 6 months. And finally, in May of 2012, I said, you know what, I can't make it work. And if you take me back, fine. If you don't take me back, fine. But I can't make it work because every day things started becoming worse. And every day, I started losing my own self-respect in my own eyes. So, yeah, I mean, that was part one of the journey. Part two, I didn't know where I was. I really didn't know where I was. In 2012, divorces were not heard of, separations were not heard of. With two really young girls, I left and I moved to my father's home. And trust me, it was not a cakewalk. Financially, I wasn't secure independently, but financially, my father was secure. So that was a blessing. But it wasn't a cakewalk. It was difficult mentally. It was difficult emotionally. It was very difficult physically because people think that, oh, she's available, let me hit at her because she's going through a separation. So you actually start wondering what is happening in my life. And at that time, you have various thoughts coming. The most common is that you want to give up on your life, because you feel, what am I doing here? Your kids are looking at you, searching for that father figure. They search for the father figure in their grandfather, in their mama, in their uncles. And at the same time, you've got to be very careful that, they don't search for the father figure in the wrong man, because sexual abuse is on the rise. And you yourself are trying to find yourself. So what do? So for me, at that time, to cope up with all this, and more so to cope up with the fact that the entire society blamed me for the divorce, because they said, he can't be in the wrong, you're the one in the wrong. A spiritual practice came my way. So I was able to, cope up partly because of that. But partly, I actually reached out to a lot of people for mental support, because back then in 2012-13, my mental health was like at ground zero. Because you don't know what area of your life to look at. Do I look at my finances, or do I look at my children's education? What decision am I taking for my children? So in a nutshell, this is what my life went through from 2002 until 2012. The initial part of the marriage and the abuses and the beatings and the abortions. So I entailed all that till I decided that, now I need to walk out for myself.
Right. It's very heart-wrenching, Sheetal, but kudos to you for being strong and for taking up that decision. And you have come out stronger. I'm glad you reached out for support, back then when it was still a taboo, but glad you were aware of the fact that you need help and you reached out. So kudos to you on that. I will come up to you with this question, Rachna, that we got Sheetal's perspective, right? And you must be having a lot of clients where you must be having both men and women who are battling divorce. Like our law suggests that you need to go under a mandatory counseling before you file divorce. So you must be you must be having clients who talk about divorce. So what is your general idea about divorce, and how does it hamper a couple, a family, a child?
That's a lot of questions. Let me start with something that I don't take cases which are gone to court. I had a recent case where I was dealing with a guy whose wife has taken him to court, and he's not to be blamed. But having said that, I didn't want to. The way she came across to me, sometimes ये जो couple लड़ते रहते हैं ना, तुम भी फंस जाते हो उसके बीच में. So you have to be really like, they think that they're not thinking that you're on. You have a moderate path. They're thinking you're going to take sides. it's very difficult when it comes to counseling a couple. But let me say that जैसे शीतल के साथ हुआ है वैसे ही सेम अभी भी इतना स्टिग्मा है फॉर डिवोर्स. इतने बार सोचते हैं, इतने दुखी होते हैं, फिर भी they don't have the guts to. And I think India में the biggest challenge for a woman, let's talk about a woman, is because she's not financially independent, correct? So that becomes quite an issue for the woman कि मैं अगर से छोड़ भी दूं तो मैं करूंगी क्या, पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे. और इंडिया में अनफॉर्चुनेटली काफी पेरेंट्स ऐसे ही बोलते हैं कि अभी तुम्हारी शादी हो गई, जस्ट डील विद इट, you can't come back home. So that is another issue, Kanika, that parents are not supportive enough. तो बच्चे कहाँ जाए अगर से शादी अच्छी नहीं चल रही है. So why are they forcing us to live with a person? और मैं सिर्फ लड़कियों की बात नहीं कर रही हूँ, इवन मेन go through the same. जब डिवोर्स होता है जहाँ पे लड़की का फॉल्ट होता है, लड़के का कम होता है, आई थिंक इट टेक्स टू टू टैंगो. एनी विच वेज कंपैटिबिलिटी ठीक से नहीं होती, उसमें कोई गलत बात नहीं है. बट the guys also cannot, because society क्या कहेगी अगर से हम डिवोर्स लेंगे, हमारे बच्चों का क्या होगा. Most people stay in marriages because of the children, correct?
Right, absolutely. They are the major reason why anybody stays in a marriage.
But having said that, I think because since she's sharing, I would also like to share that if 2012, right, you got divorced?
I left the house in 2012.
Okay.
I got divorced in 2016. But my perspective in that entire journey changed a lot.
Right. So I'm just saying that if you think it was taboo and something so unheard of, my parents got divorced in 1980s, so yeah, so I can give you as a divorcee can give a perspective. I as a kid give, when I was young, I thought, oh my God, ये मेरे लाइफ में क्या हो रहा है, बाकी के पेरेंट्स ठीक चल रहे हैं, हमारे साथ ही ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है. और हम बिकॉज वी केम फ्रॉम अ वेरी स्मॉल टाउन, हमारे फ्रेंड्स के पेरेंट्स हमसे बात नहीं करने देते थे हमको, क्योंकि बोलते थे नहीं वो लोग, हाँ, देयर वाज दिस थिंग. सो वी वुड चुपके से स्पीक टू आवर क्लोज फ्रेंड्स बिकॉज इट वाज सच अ अनहर्ड थिंग एट दैट टाइम. एंड आई स्टिल रिमेंबर आई वाज सो ट्रॉमेटाइज्ड दैट ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है, किसी से बात नहीं कर सकते कभी, you don't know what the hell is happening in your life. But in retrospect, I think also, Kanika, today we should tell the audience who's watching us, please note that just because Sheetal is divorced or my parents got divorced, it doesn't mean that we are propagating it. Okay, we are just giving our own perspective. अगर से आपकी शादी अच्छी चल रही है या नहीं अच्छी चल रही है, ये चॉइस आपकी है, आपको रहना है, प्लीज रहिए. हम में से कोई आपको ये नहीं कह, ये सेशन आज का इसलिए नहीं है कि हम आपको बताएं कि आप लोगों ने क्या करना चाहिए, कि वी आर लाइक encouraging you कि जाओ अपने पतियों को छोड़ो या पतियों को बीवियों को छोड़ो, ऐसे नहीं कह रहे. Anyway, so I just wanted to make that clear in the beginning, just in case people tell us that what are we doing here. So I remember that as a child, it was really hard for me. But when I grew up, because in counseling we're supposed to become self-aware of what we have gone through life, and they tell us don't take a case if you think you're carrying emotional baggage. So for me, I thought that maybe because I come from, I don't understand why they call it a broken family. I don't think it was broken. Okay, maybe it was different from the others, but it's not broken. Two parents can still love the child and it can still function as a family even if they are not living together. So, but in retrospect, I think जो मेरे parents ने किया सही किया, because सारा time लड़ते रहना, if you are not compatible and the children are going through so much trauma when you guys are fighting, and क्योंकि इंडियन पेरेंट्स का कोई लॉजिक ही नहीं बनता, जब वो लोग झगड़ा करते हैं सबके सामने करते हैं, ऐसा नहीं करके चलो बाहर जाके झगड़ा करते हैं या समथिंग, सो आई थिंक in today's session, if anyone is listening to us and तुम लोगों में fights चल रही है, please बच्चों के सामने मत लड़ा कीजिए. Please make sure that you don't drag them into fights. I have cases where children, एक parent का message दूसरा parent को देना, एक parent दूसरे के against बोलता है कि अरे what, ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. Don't do this to children. It's not a tug of war. Don't hurt them like this. अपनी problems खुद solve कीजिए. Don't drag the kids into it. Yeah, Sheetal, your perspective on this?
I agree completely. Not to sound racist, but I guess we Indians are such that we are, always thinking, like, for example, now when I see it, my daughters are 18 and 16, and they go out with my ex-husband. He takes them shopping, he buys them stuff, and I don't feel bad about it at all, because I feel, why not? I mean, he's doing his bit as a father. I take care of their expenses. I mean, my daughter studies in a university in London. I'm taking care of her education, and I feel fine. I mean, this is what I do. So just, I mean, it's very important for couples to remember that, you know what, your child is not a toy, and it's not a possession. He or she is a living being, is a human, and please don't put your thoughts on the child. Let the child make his or her own decision, because the child has, I mean, cognitive skills to think of. So why are you telling the kid, oh, your father did this, or oh, your mother did this? Whatever is happening between the mother and the father, but to the child, they are mother and father. So don't involve your kids in your circus, please. I mean, I made that mistake, but then very fortunately, till I could rectify it once I became a counselor, and I realized that what I had done, and I started undoing it. That every time my kids went out with my ex-husband and he bought them something, I would get very annoyed, and I would think back of my mind that when I was married to him, he didn't do anything for them. Now he's buying them stuff. But I kept that opinion to myself. Like, I would sit and write it on a book, in a diary, but I never brought that energy out onto my kids, because I'm harming them in the end. So what I feel from within, what is my environment from within, I am going to project that into the universe and onto my kids. So it's very important that I don't project any negativity on my child, because otherwise my child is going to grow up with that negativity and take it forward. So I am going through a bad time in my relationship. I need to sort that out at an individual level with my partner, not involving my child in it. So, I mean, I agree with you completely, that keep the child out of your personal mess, and I know in India, but I know of cases where, the mothers send the WhatsApp message to the child and say, oh, tell your father to do this and pay that. But keep your fight separate, and please fight in the bedroom. Don't fight in public in front of your kids. It damages them permanently. Like, I also came from a home where my parents didn't get along. My parents could not take a divorce. Now I'm talking back when I was 13. I'm 42 today. I would see my parents squabble and I would wonder, why am I with them? So in retrospect, I ran away into a marriage because thinking I would get happiness there, because I didn't see the happiness with them. Had they fought their battles in the bedroom, I would have not known what's happening between them, and I would have had this image of a happy, family like we have in the fairy tales, and that would have been better for me, rather than running away and rather than spoiling my life. But again, I say in retrospect, because I studied and I self-educated myself so much, I luckily am not, in a weak mental space. I'm in a very strong mental space that nothing pulls me down. So, there's a situation that is emotionally very challenging, I'm able to pull myself up, but I agree completely.
Yeah, on that point where you said that I wish your parents had done, fought in the bedroom, but I think आज हम सबको ये भी बताना चाहते हैं कि we are humans, okay? जैसे आप, मैं, सब हमारे parents भी human beings हैं, उनसे गलतियां होती हैं, वो लोग sometimes they don't have the foresight to see, and because India में इतना awareness नहीं है, the psychological impact that is on the kids when you fight and when you bully them or anything for that matter. On many topics, it's not addressed yet. So I hope you can, with this session, tell बच्चों को कि आपके parents कोशिश कर रहे हैं, but like I have clients, I tell them, send this article to your parent if they are fighting. Tell them what is happening, what you're feeling. हम अपने पेरेंट्स से बात नहीं कर सकते थे कि क्या हो रहा है, पर आजकल के
No, I think with this awareness that we have got these social media platforms, we have got the access to all kind of information. It is easier for kids. But summarizing this entire conversation that we have had for past few minutes, I would say, no relationship in this world can be perfect. No human being in this world can be perfect. You should be very decisive when you step in, when you go in for a divorce. I know a few people where couples, they complain because my partner did not take me out for shopping, because my partner did not buy me a bag. I think this marriage is not working. He doesn't care. I am not important. And on drop of a hat, they feel like divorce is an option. But trust me guys, it is not a easy call to take, and it has got its own consequences and things. But when it is the only option, like how Sheetal mentioned her life story, that she underwent a lot of trauma and it took her 10 long years to realize or to raise her voice and say that I want to go out, because this is hitting not only my mental, emotional, but also myself, my identity. So right, so we are not promoting going forward and taking a divorce, but we are also wanting to tell you this message that you don't have to compromise on your life and on your emotional health and on your mental well-being when you come to a level when it's the extreme. You have tried everything, you have sought help from counselors, or you have taken advices, but still it is not working. Then probably you need to think it out. And coming back to uh, children's perspective, Sheetal, I understand, it is very difficult to explain it to a child, when a parent decides to get a divorce, right? So right now, as I said, that information is available. Children are far more smarter. They know what a divorce is. If I talk of teenagers, they know what a divorce is. But how do you think, how did you convey it out to your daughters, and how did you manage their expectations and vision?
So in my case, very sadly, my kids would see us fighting. I think I even got thrashed once or twice in front of my kids.
Oh my God.
And my older one at that time saw me, my older one saw me get thrashed. My maid saw me get thrashed. And my older one, so one day when I was living with my parents during the separation stage, I took them out to an ice cream, and I told my older one that when you and your friend don't get along, when you have a fight, you're constantly fighting. So she said I'd rather not speak to her, because if we are constantly going to be fighting, what's the point? So I told her, I said, in the same way, me and Papa, we don't get along, and that's the reason we keep having these arguments. And it's better that we stay away from each other. But he will always remain a father to you, and I will always remain a mother to you, and nothing changes in that course. Even when my younger one was too small to understand what was happening, and at that time, like I said, I didn't know what was really happening with me. I did allow my ex-husband to come and see the children, to spend time with the children, and he was really nice with the girls. Once he could get away from the family pressure that he doesn't want boys, he was really nice to the girls. Also, when I look at the fact that what he did with me was not because he was a bad person, it was very circumstantial.
Okay.
But again, coming back to your question, I very platonically told my kids that when two people don't get along, it's better that they go on their own direction, and they don't be together, and that's the way it should be. And my girls just understood. Even when I was going to take the divorce, and I started working towards the divorce, I first informed my children about it. so that they don't hear from a third person and wonder what my mother is doing. I informed them, because my older one was old enough to understand a bit that, there is something happening. So that's how I very slowly and steadily broke the news to them. But I also at that time spent whatever time I could, because I was working to fend for myself. Whatever time I would get, Kanika and Rachna, I just would spend it with them. I mean, even if it meant sitting on the bed and doing nothing,
Right.
I just would spend that time with them, because I knew that they are going through something which they are unable to verbalize.
Right.
So that is what I did with my children.
Right.
On this note, Kanika, Sheetal just said that she had at least her father was well-to-do, right? So she could go back. So हमें आज ये भी बोलना है लोगों को कि प्लीज अपनी बेटियों को पढ़ाओ, उनको इंडिपेंडेंट करो और फिर उनकी शादी कराओ. Because I have so many cases where girls are getting married so early, and then the marriage doesn't work out, and they're very short-sighted. They don't think कि कुछ ऐसा हो सकता है. ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि हस्बैंड का जॉब नहीं है इसलिए तुम्हारी बेटी को काम करना पड़ेगा, हस्बैंड बीमार पड़ सकता है इसलिए काम करना पड़ेगा. Maybe marriage doesn't work out and you are not there for the child anymore. Suppose the parents are no more and the child wants to get divorced. If there is no education, if they are not independent, how in the world are they going to leave bad marriages? So today we would like to tell the audience this specific thing, that please अपनी बच्चियों को पढ़ाओ.
Right. On this note, Rachna, not only education for girls, we are vouching for education for girls, but I am also proposing that we should stop assigning roles to genders. It
Right.
is a high time that this assigning of roles to gender should end. It is quite possible that a woman can earn and a man take care of the house. It is okay for a man to cry. It is okay for a woman to step out and do the jobs that are, that our society has assigned to man. Because the day we end these gender roles, we actually achieve equality. So a message that we want to send across is, please stop assigning gender roles and give proper education, equal opportunities to everybody. And very valid point, Rachna, because you never know when somebody has to take up that charge and start earning. Our lives are, look at this pandemic. If things get worse, one of the person falls, the other person has to take the responsibility, be it your household or be it your finances. So let's work towards, adopting life skills, adopting every skill that enables us to live a better life. And on that note, Rachna, I have a question to you. So, just tell me, what do you think are the major reasons that a person, they are afraid of the marriage, or they think that it is not going to work anymore? What is your message out there to the couples? Are there any chances, or is there any scope that the circumstances can change, or their expectations? What is it that causes these high divorce rates?
See, like most cases, I think basic core जो है ना issue is the compatibility factor. ठीक है, in-laws का issue भी हो सकता है क्योंकि how interfering the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law उनका constant अगर से fights चल रहे हैं, that could lead to a lot of mess in the house. Adultery, maybe one of them is cheating, could lead to that. Maybe I think also trauma like getting beaten up and domestic violence, that, and nowadays women are getting independent जो पहले नहीं थे. So I think that has also given a little bit rise in the cases of divorces, because now women don't just keep quiet and deal with it जैसे पहले. अब उनके पास choices होती हैं. But I'll tell you a couple of cases that I've had. Like, okay, कुछ लोग बहुत कोशिश करते हैं, okay, to make it work. चलो ये ट्राई करते हैं, चलो वो ट्राई करते हैं, बट एक अगर से दोनों नहीं कर रहे हैं ना, कुछ नहीं हो सकता. Both have to give up their ego. Both have to come and meet in the middle and say, okay, I'm going to do this. Many times it has so happened that suppose the woman comes to me, okay, and I say कि आपके पति को भी बुलाइए, let me like handle it. She said वो नहीं आएंगे, उनको सुनना ही नहीं. या तो लड़का मेरे पास आए ना, अगर से मैं उनको बोलूंगी अपनी बीवी को बोलो, नहीं मैम वो नहीं आएगी, उसका सर तो फिरा हुआ है, वो कभी सुनेगी नहीं, उसको लगेगा आपका और मेरा कुछ चल रहा है, तो ऐसा भी हो रहा है. So
It's a very common thing.
yeah, it's very common. I mean, none of them really want to hear that they are at fault. You see, दोनों की ego battles इतनी है, और and the custody battle then later on. ये please, I would like the audience to please, अगर से आपको
So at this point, you know, Rachna, I went for a Catholic wedding once, and when the wedding was going on, the priest was telling the couple that remember that you both are in this school for the first time. You both are in this school of marriage for the first time. So no one has come with a doctorate, or no one has come with a graduation in this, and you are never going to graduate from this school. Marriage is one institution that you're never going to graduate from till you die, or till either one dies. So on this point, I guess, like you said, that the ego needs to be, and I think more than the ego, you need to keep your professional statuses outside the door when you walk in. You could be, I mean, you could be a doctor and he could be what you say, a businessman, but the moment you walk in, you all both are two equal individuals in the house who have to keep your egos in your pocket and move ahead, you know, because you all both are in the same class.
Right.
It's not that very few of them are actually the women are working. Most of my cases, the women are not working, and so that it's not that ego. The ego is कि मैं गलत नहीं हो सकती, या मैं गलत नहीं हो सकता. So उनका वो ego चल रहा है. But also having said that, मेरे कुछ cases हैं जहाँ पे कोर्ट तक केस पहुंच गया है, और इशू ये है कि अगर सिर्फ वुमेन हैज द कस्टडी, तो मोस्टली वो अपने हस्बैंड को विजिटेशन राइट्स या जॉइंट कस्टडी की बात ही नहीं होती. वो लोग इतना मन में, unless the man is beating the kids or he's a drunk and he's a negative influence on your child's life, I would like to tell all women that stop doing this to your children. Don't pull them apart. They need the father's love also. They need your love also. So please, उनको मत, उसको चटनी मत बनाइए बच्चों की वहाँ पे. Let them, you know, feel that love. क्योंकि क्या होता है जब तुम ऐसा खींचते हो, they feel very unloved, they feel anxious, they feel stressed. क्या हो रहा है? So please, whoever's listening, and even men, please don't fight with your wife over it. Sit down and talk अलग से, और please take visitation rights. मेरे हिसाब से तो प्रीनप्चुअल एग्रीमेंट होनी चाहिए, जिस तरह मैरिजेस जा रहे हैं आजकल. पहले से ही डिसाइड कर लो किसके साथ क्या होगा.
Is it legal in India, prenups?
Lately, I heard one lawyer told me that it is possible if you.
So it might be legally available or not, but I think still we have a social, you know, we are not into that mindset of getting into prenup till date.
Yes.
So let's not go there. And so yes, very insightful answer, Rachna. That you know, we need to be very thoughtful about what we want to do. Every problem can have a solution until and unless both the parties are willing to give their 100% to the conversation. One very important aspect of, you know, having a divorce and moving on ahead with your life is getting into a relationship again. A very important question, or a very important probability, that is, you know, life doesn't end there. If you had one failed relationship, for example, when you're in school, you might fail for once, but you don't stop attempting the exam paper, right? So if life threw a challenge at you and you somehow didn't work out for you, what are the probabilities of getting into a new relationship? Is it easier? How does society treat you? I mean, do they treat, as you had said some time back, Sheetal, that they take you for granted that she's available because she's a divorcee? So what is your take on that, about relationships after a divorce?
I'm quite so I do believe that you must give yourself a second chance.
Right.
Of course, you definitely tread very carefully in that sense, because when you are going through a divorce, you do realize in retrospect that you also made a mistake somewhere.
Right.
Okay, like Rachna said, it takes two to tango. So it was not just the fault of my ex-husband, but it was also a lot of fault that came with the fact that my side of the family expected him to stand up to the plate, up to their social standing. Like you, so when he could not, it started into a very spiral. But then at that age, I didn't have that kind of maturity and understanding. And when finances are an issue, what happens is the rift is quicker. So one of the major reasons a divorce really spirals is because when your financials are not in place. Now, in my case, his financials were not in place, and I was the one who was putting in a lot of money. So, as a result of which, the issues started cropping up. So, when you are going into a second relationship, what happens is you tread very carefully. But you're not guarded again. You are matured by the time you are in the second relationship, and you don't make the same errors that you made in the first one. You don't follow the pattern. So if you see a pattern that's repeating, okay, you know where to stop yourself. Look within. At the end of it, Kanika, the answer comes from within.
Right.
See, we are all work in progress. Like Rachna said, the kids are work in progress. I'm work in progress. I'm not superhuman. I still make mistakes. But at the end of it, if I have the ability to look within, like if I can sit still and look within and, say, okay, I don't want to make these errors that I made in my marriage, in my first marriage. So then I know when I'm in my second marriage, I will not, because it so happens it's bound to come up. And you don't want to fail the second time. I mean, you can fail class 1 once, but you don't want to fail class 1 the second time. So what you do is you are very cautious, but you're not guarded. And of course you want, because at the end of it, what is life all about? You can't live life in isolation. I mean, not for anything else, but companionship is something I think that we all look for, and you can't live life in isolation. So, of course, I mean, if life threw me another chance, I'd love to share my life with someone.
Okay, maybe I can add a bit in this point, since we are discussing a second chance that she gets to be in love or to get married. The stigma that is attached to being a divorcee. People judge you कि तुम्हारा ब्रेकअप हो गया या तुम्हारा डिवोर्स हो गया, मतलब औरत का फॉल्ट है. तो टुडे वी वांट टू टेल द ऑडियंस ना, अनलेस द मैन इज बीटिंग एंड ऑल दैट, देन ऑफ कोर्स का फॉल्ट ज्यादा है. पर जब एक रिलेशनशिप डजंट वर्क आउट, प्लीज स्टॉप जजिंग पीपल. उनको वापस से अपनी जिंदगी जीने दीजिए. Let them get married, let them be in as many relationships as they want. It is their life. Stop judging, stop telling people what to do, and stop moral policing. Please, for God's sake.
Absolutely.
आपको जो करना है आप कीजिए, उनको जो करना है वो कर देंगे. और डोंट नीड टू से कि अरे उस औरत का क्यों डिवोर्स हुआ, उसने जरूर कुछ गलत किया होगा, अरे उसके बच्चों का क्या होगा, अरे अगर से वो सेकंड शादी करेगी क्या उसके बच्चों को कोई ठीक से देखेगा, ये क्यों इतना जल्दी कर रही है. आई मीन ऑल दिस नॉनसेंस. प्लीज एवरीबडी अपनी लाइफ, प्लीज माइंड योर ओन बिजनेस. Stop telling people what to do. That's what my message to the public.
Absolutely. I mean, I so agree with you. And even if someone is not looking at settling down again, if she does go for a drink or if she does go out for a coffee, please don't label her or judge her, just because you see her with another man. That doesn't mean that she's available or she's of loose character. I feel some of my closest friends have been of the opposite sex. Now that doesn't make me a bad woman, or that doesn't, you can't label me, as to being a tip. I mean, you can't label me because that's the way it is. Just because he's a man you are pointing fingers at me. But if I was the thickest friends with Kanika or with Rachna, you would not label me. If I came home at 1 o'clock in the night with Rachna dropping me or Kanika dropping me, I would not be labeled. But because a man is dropping me, because I am a divorcee, don't label, because we don't know what is the other person's journey. We don't know what the other person has gone through. And I feel, Rachna, each one of us is going through a journey. We are all fighting some battle or the other. I mean, we may not want to speak about it, we may want to speak about it, but let's just, wish each other well rather than judging each other.
Correct.
So that brings me to a point that we all are fighting some battles at some end or the other, because life can never be perfect, and that promotes kindness. So a strong message coming out from this, that practice the kindness. And also talking about the gossip that people do, the people who come to celebrate a union, when we have marriages, when we have weddings, it is grand. People come, they celebrate the breaks. It hurts a very small section of that community, and the rest who were there out this strong message that society should not every individual live the life that as a youth they deserve. So a fantastic conversation that we have had today with Rach. Ritual that we ask our guests here to out a message to our audience. So we will start with you, Rachna. What is your message to the audience tonight?
As I always, in almost all my sessions, I always say that I do not like it when people judge others. ये sanctimonious, holier than thou attitude that all of us have, कि हमको पता है उसने क्या किया, गलत किया या सही किया. We should all stop that. We should all try to be happy. अपने life को खुद खुशी के साथ डील करो. और अगर से आपके इर्द गिर्द, since the topic is on divorce, अगर से आपकी कोई friend या आपका कोई friend divorce he's going through or she's going through it, please support them, be there for them. Don't need to tell them कि वो गलत कर रहे हैं, सही कर रहे हैं. Sometimes it just needs someone to listen to. And if anyone here needs help and needs some counseling, I'm available. That's my message.
Absolutely. Thankful message, Rachna. And what is your message? What do you want to tell our audience, Sheetal?
So I'd only say, please live your lives with wisdom, compassion, and courage. In Japanese, it means Yumi or Shojin. So please live your life with wisdom, compassion, and courage. Once you start living your life with wisdom, compassion, and courage, like my mentor Sensei Ikeda says, you're sorted.
Absolutely, Sheetal. Thank you so much for joining us on this live session, dear Rachna. It was such a pleasure to have you all in this panel discussion. I hope our audience would have got some insights, and the message that we want to give is, your relationship, your career, your other life, they are not your entire life. There is no need for anybody to suffer or bottle up your emotions. Talk it out. Solutions are always available. On that note, I will bid all of you a goodbye. I wish you good health, stay safe, good night, and stay emotionally strong. And if you need any help, you need somebody to talk to, and you need anybody to listen to you, do not hesitate to log in at www.justpath.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Help is available. Be strong to seek it. Thank you. Good night. Wishing you all well.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.